This is something that I pulled from my imagination, trying to make it photorealistic, and it's a rubbing that I did with oil pastels. It's a professor with a monocle, and and he's supposed to be English. Um, this one is a um, also oil pastels, and this is based off of Jackson Pollock, and it is um, to represent like some of the symbols that we use in language and in our mind. And he actually was a was worked with a Jungian psychologist, and I love the horse picture that he gave, or that he drew for his Jungian psychologist or psychoanalyst. But this is a picture of a priest done by in watercolors, and it uses Easter colors. And so this kind of looks like the guy from American Pie, or Medea, but he's got the big mustache and the two eyebrows. This one is these are pictographic kind of characters that are all unique, and so it's like a language or an alphabet actually in and of itself. And this is like supposed to be like an alien language. I got this idea when I was watching Independence Day. The second one, when it's kind of focusing on language. This one is a still life of a cup, and it's based off of Fauvism. That's where it has its roots. And it's supposed to be like a child's juice cup, sitting on a table or a uh, a seat for like eating or whatever. Um, this one is a one-eyed alien, and I kind of have like a brainiac kind of like moon or space station in the back, and then there's like the different buttes, and this is the alien, and I drew that. Um, this I've shown before. This is the picture of there's a dragon in the background, and then there's the moon. There's another dragon up here. That's a wizard shooting flames out of his hands. That's a wizard in the background coming up on the hill, and he's holding a staff that's got fire shooting out of it. And then this is like a demonic creature or a gremlin that's like peeking out from behind a rock. And then this uses fantastical colors. So, yeah, and that was watercolor and marker. I outlined it with Sharpie, and then I used watercolors. And then this one is actually a based off of Van Gogh's Starry Night, because it uses the same type of trees as the bush in Starry Night. And if you look, there's a fence, and it's done in watercolors, and it's really eccentric, kind of like Rembrandt. And there's a house over on the right-hand side. This is the house. There's a tree, there's a tree, there's a tree, and then that's supposed to be the sun or the moon. This is a cloud, that's a cloud. There's a picket fence that is made out of wood that's right here. And then there's my signature and the date. This one is actually a picture of paratroopers landing in Vietnam. And I painted this with a sunset because of that video that's on YouTube of like House of the Rising Sun. And I always loved that song. You know, that was the only song that I ever learned to play. And so these are the clouds in watercolor, and this is a paratrooper, 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 and then down here is like the grass and like the beach, and I've never been to Vietnam, but here it's a pretty country. But you know, and then this one is a horse that is based off of the horse that Jackson Pollock did for the Jungian psychologist or psychoanalyst that he was seeing. And it's actually, the point is to use perspective, but I just wanted to draw the horse. This one is a bunch of squares, and there's a ivy design that is behind it. It's really just a pattern, and it's supposed to, remind you of ivy in like an English garden or a garden wall. Okay. This one is the Last Supper and the Crucifixion. And let me focus it. Okay, and this is the Last Supper, and it's in miniature, so it's really hard to focus this. And there's the 12 apostles, and Jesus, and the window behind Jesus, the door, another door. Jesus has a beard and hair, but all the 12 apostles I kept bald without a beard, so that you could identify Jesus. And they're sitting at a table. That's a better view of it. So it's like a calligraphy or a drawing that's done with and it's done with blue spray paint actually. And so this one is this is the Crucifixion, and this is a more realistic depiction of the Crucifixion, where he's got he's got his arms bound at the top, and it's a pillar instead of a cross, and this is where his legs are, his chest, his belly button, his head, and his head is bowed. And you can see the crown of thorns there. Yeah. And then there's like clouds up there, and it smears down here. So this is a graphic interpretation. And this is a picture of a cartoon that I did of Jackson Pollock. I don't know why I gave him glasses, but yeah, and he's got a canvas there, and but this one is a picture that I did with like silver metallic paint on a pattern that I did with pen, and I don't know what the coloring is, but this is what it looks like. And it is pretty cool. This one is one of my favorites, and this is a guy named Matt that I met when I went to a mental health meeting, and he was standing at a bus stop in winter time at a and I actually drew a cartoon caricature of him standing at the bus stop, and see there's like a crate behind him, like one of those milk crates or whatever. There's a can over here. This is in Granite City that I actually drew this, and that's just a cartoon. The bus sign doesn't really look like that, but I think MCT doesn't mind. They, Madison County Transit, they probably would find this very funny. But, and he's wearing like a trench coat, which he was that day or something, a big coat. And I really like the guy. He works for NAMI, and he's Southwestern Illinois, and he's a pretty cool guy. He's like the contact. And it's a good organization, NAMI is, but this one is a square design that I did, and it's supposed to be like an Old English window, like the stained glass kind that's clear, that has the wooden frame. That would be like in a English cottage or something like that. And so that's what the basis for this idea was. I don't really know why most of these pictures are English as far as like the concepts in my mind. But this one is, there is a square done in, and this is done in marker and food coloring and food dye. And it's very vibrant, the food dye. And I put it on thick, and this is like a square, and that's a triangle, and then that's like an egg kind of shape, and this one is like a circle inside of an open circle or whatever. And then this one is like just an abstract design that I did, and it is pretty cool. Yeah, and this one is similar to the drawing that I did of Mary and baby Jesus, only this one was meant to be more of a, I think it was, there's a cactus in the background that's drawn in red, I think. But, and then there's a tumbleweed. And it's done in oil pastels, and there's the sun and the face of Mary and the face of baby Jesus, the halos. And she's wearing a dress, and I don't remember if this was intended to, I think I took the idea of Mary and baby Jesus a little bit from like Nigerian iconography that I had seen or something, but I took the background from like old Western movies, and then there's birds up here in the corner. So yeah, that's what that is in my signature and the date. This one is based off of something I did in high school. I did a picture of Robert Frost with bars in front of his face. It was kind of a crappy picture, but I did do pretty good on Robert Frost's like face, and he was a good poet laureate for the United States. If you ever get a chance to read his work, he's a very good poet. And this is done in oil pastels and I think paint. No, just oil pastels. But I smeared it with white to create that effect over color. This one is Mr. Snowman, and I did him with, there's the terrain, the snowman, the hat, the scarf, and and I did a multicolored background and the sun, and, it's done in oil pastels. It's actually really thick, because I wanted to make it very, very thick, in order to make it a clear drawing. This one is Smudges the Rabbit. And I was actually working on animal cartoons, and I saw somebody had this picture of a coloring page, and it was of an animal, and I copied the style, but I created my own animal. And so Smudges was like what I came up with. And I drew him with marker, and the marker was actually running out of ink when I did this. But it's a really good cartoon. And if you get a chance, draw your own smudges, I guess. There's my signature and the date and smudges, the title. This is Patches again. That's Patches, my emotional support animal. And he's got an eye patch, and there's a baseboard behind him. And for some reason, other than the eye patch, I put a tag on his ear. And it says 3.8 or M point infinity sign or something like that. I don't know why. Kind of eclectic, but this one is the Crucifix, based off of Salvador Dali's Crucifixion, that is hovering over the earth, the sphere, the curve of the earth, and you can see I did this with watercolors, and this is only done with watercolors, so there's no marker use in here. This is freehand with watercolors. And so I had to make these angles perfectly straight. And, I decided to use multicolor like he did, and I wanted a more realistic version of Christ, and to show his suffering. This one is the Last Supper. That's that is Judas over here, and the other 12 apostles. Jesus is not there, but I used a day still, kind like Piet Mondrian kind of chair to represent Jesus. And then there's the host and the blood, the Holy Grail, and this is the table that they ate at, and this is like a curtain, and then there's like shutters, and like the curtain rod, and that's really, and I outlined it actually like along the edges kind of roughly to create kind of a burnt effect. This one is the baby Jesus, where it's got the Virgin Mother, and she's got a hat on, and there's the sun, and it's the rays of the sun in the background, and then there's the ground, and baby Jesus's face, and they're both wearing cowboy hats, because this is based off of like South America, and it's very photorealistic, and there's a guitar on her back in the background, because this version of Mary that I made she's a guitar singer. You can see there's the other part of the guitar, and the hand's really graphic, and and I use this style for the hair because it really speaks to me of like a newborn. And then this one is the butterfly angel, and she has wings, butterfly wings, that I actually drew with I outlined everything with Sharpie, and then I colored it in with crayon and lightly to create kind of an Easter-y effect. And she's standing on clouds. She's got a halo, and it's supposed to be like a swallowtail butterfly. Then this one is the tiger that I did, and it's supposed to be a Siberian Tiger Cub. And if you look in the background, there are bamboo shoots. And and this is photorealistic. And I did this freehand, and it was very hard to do freehand. Let me tell you, it's, and there's the leaves and the bamboo. And it's supposed to be in a bamboo forest, but this one is St. Francis of Assisi holding a skull based off of the picture that is in the St. Louis Art Museum of St. Francis of Assisi holding a skull, which is actually my favorite picture, and it is a wonderful picture, and it's a panel, and I believe there's two other panels, but I decided to put a candle with a light on top of the skull to represent hope, because I thought that St. Francis of Assisi was gave a lot of hope to a lot of people, and he gave hope to me because he was a pretty cool guy. Well, let's see. This one is an explosion that I did kind of like to represent the Big Bang, and it's done in oil pastels, and I drew large thick black lines, and behind it I put lots of color. This one is the Hoodoo Man, and it's based off the Scream, but it's supposed to represent like Easter Island. And I just thought it was kind of neat. And it reminded me of the Easter Island statues. This is a picture of goggles that I took a photograph. It's not bad. Yeah. And it's in black and white. This one is a pencil drawing of the Last Supper, and it is very detailed. There's the doorway. I think I actually created a hallway out there. There's a bowl right here to wash their feet, to wash Jesus's feet. The Holy Grail, Jesus. And then the window behind him. Then there's the 12 apostles. And then I think this is Judas because he's separated from the others. And, so this one is based off of geometric abstractions that were actually done by the Germans and the Russians around I forget what era, but I love geometric art, and it's very patternized, and this one is done using oil pastels. And so this one is to represent the woman and the man. It's like a electric plug. There's the male and the female plug. Just the front ends of like an extension cord. This one's the Hobbit cartoon that I came up with. He's got the Hobbit hut, and there's the Hobbit, and Hobbit hole. A Hobbit hole was what I titled it. It's really a simple cartoon. It's more of a caricature than a cartoon. This one is done in black Sharpie, and then I penned over it, and I put, I think, marker. And, this is like how this is designed. I think that's actually like either a tower and a window or a needle. Yeah, it's a tower and a window, and you can see the birds. Kind of like the Empire State Building. And, let me see if I can see anything else in this. Nah, that's basically all that I did that was objective. This is a rose that I did with a blue background, real simple, with marker. This one is a real dark picture that I did of a man behind bars who is schizophrenic. and he's like, I wanted to do this using squares that I divided, and I actually created the different voices as individuals. Let me zoom in on that. In using some kind of outliner or tracing, but I hand drew each of those. And then this one is Mary, and it's a simple drawing in colored pencil, and but it's very detailed. And there's and and there's the grass and the sun. This one's a Rorschach print that I did in food coloring. And it's really bright and vibrant like the other one. And let's see. This one is a picture of kind of like I don't know, like what's that play with God. It's like a female version of the character in the play that Johnny Depp was in, I think. But I call it Switchblade because she's holding a switchblade. And she's actually cutting a rutabaga, of all things. I don't know why I put a rutabaga in there. And I did this in charcoal. And with charcoal pencils. And it's actually pretty detailed. It's one of my favorites. And it's a really good caricature. This one's Rorschach Print.